Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, August the 20th, presented by Mercury. We're going to connect with Josh Herron, Lee Pitts, and Tom Ott to talk about fishing at Logan Martin and Lay Lake, Weiss Lake and Neely Henry, and of course, Guntersville. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, August the 20th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to connect with Tom Ott up there at Guntersville, that big old mountain lake in the sky. Tom, what's going on the big lake up there these days?
Man, Dano, it's just, we're definitely in those dog day doldrum kind of things. But, what's looking up is, the days are getting a little bit shorter and it's starting to drive the bait fish a little bit more. We're starting to see some movement there. And these fish are starting to scatter around a little bit and follow this bait fish. So, right now, we talked a little bit last week, changing tactics. Been staying down on the lower end a little bit more. The drop shot, Ned rigs, things like that. Even a shaky head has been catching some fish. Still struggling a little bit with some larger fish, but they are out there. Just a lot of fish chasing bait. And it seems like when you get into a school of them, they're all the same size. You might get a larger fish on the outskirts of them or something like that. But, just a ton of reports of a lot of fish, a lot of small fish being caught. Some good grass tactics right now, or any kind of vibrating jig, anything that looks kind of bait fish like. Throwing some, what do they call them? It's a shaky vibe. It's just a little, it's a Z-Man product. You can put any kind of bait you want on it. It's a really, really great bait imitator out there. But the fish are just eating it up and catching a lot of small fish on it, of course. But it's still a lot of fun. The crappie bites kind of slowed down a little bit, but you can still find them hanging around those pylons out there on some of the bigger bridges, like the 431 bridge. There's some fish that are hanging around that can be caught. It's just not it's not where you're going to go catch 25 fish a day kind of deal.
Yeah, it seems like every time this time of the year, things get a little slow, and the guy that wins a tournament certainly finds something that's a little bit different, and he's probably only catching 3 or 4 fish. But Tom, as always, man, we appreciate everything. You have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next time.
All right, gentlemen, y'all have a great one. Tight lines out there. Be safe.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, August the 20th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to connect with the crappie king of Weiss Lake and a dang good bass fisherman of his own. Lee Pitts, what's going on Weiss Lake these days?
I hate to kind of sing the same old song, but it's just it's that summertime fishing right now. I had several people this week at the boat ramps, come up to me real serious and just, Lee, what's the problem right now? What's going on, man? What's happened to the fish? I want to say, hey, dude, it's summertime, man. It's hot out there. So, that's the thing. Everybody don't panic. It's just, it's rough on the fat man. It's rough on him old big largemouth. So it's just one of those deals that we got to get through it, slow down. It's still that kind of Texas rig worm, throwing some small plastics. I did hear of a couple of guys getting a crankbait bite this week. Not much of a crankbait bite, but hey, they went after it. One of the things I noticed too, I'm not even seeing in the mornings and late evenings a lot of the white bass coming up and busting. So that tells you everything's kind of slowing down. Got a whole lot of small shad that's hatched out. We got a lot of balls of just smaller shad. So they've got plenty of stuff to just kind of run through and pick at. They really don't have to exert a whole lot of energy to go get it. So it's just that time of year, especially with our bass fishing. You got to slow down, beat and bang. It's going to be that early morning deal. Once that sun gets up, you're going to find some kind of cover, whether it be a shade line, getting behind some of these trees that are putting off some shade. These docks are a great ambush point to try to get into. So it's just one of those things. Just slow down and just take your time. And if it gets too hot, load up and go to the house and come back in the evening.
So what about Neely Henry? What are you seeing there?
Neely's about the same. Right now, the whole Coosa chain is fishing pretty close to each other. Weiss has got a little bit more of the open water, but most of it's the same thing. Look for that bank grass early. the docks that have got some brush around them, that 3-4 foot dock, and also getting out there on that river and just beating and banging on whatever kind of brush piles you can find, any kind of rock bottom, anything that they can lay up on and not really have to exert a whole lot of energy to chase something down. That's the key right now. Just being in an area, don't stay too long, beat and bang. If you've been fishing something 15 minutes and you're not being productive, hey, crank up and get some air, go to the next spot.
Well, man, as always, we appreciate everything, Lee. Have a great rest of your weekend and go put some in the boat for us.
All right, guys, maybe we'll catch a few.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 20th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to connect with our vixen, Josh Herron. Josh, what's happening over there in Reaction Innovations land? And, of course, what's going on down there at Logan Martin and Lay Lake?
Well, here there's boxes everywhere, and boxes and boxes. Man, it's kind of like Lee was saying. We're right in the middle of the suck. That's what it is right now. It just sucks, but there's still some fish to be caught. It's definitely going to be an early morning thing, but a little bit different than what Lee was talking about. This time of year, like when you get on that yearling shad hatch, that I actually like to go target suspended fish. It's something that pretty cool you get to do this time of year. You can actually run around, and it's that whole forward-facing sonar, love it or hate it. But it gives you the opportunity to fish for a lot of fish that don't get fished for, but it just requires seat time. You need to spend a lot of time looking anywhere off the face of these big channel swings. You just think about the same way you would have these fish migrate in the fall or in the spring. Fish are setting up to do their deal. I mean, they know that the days are getting shorter and everything like that, but you're still in that really hot phase of the year. So you can just idle when you see these little balls to bait and you see 2 or 3 marks underneath them and just stop. Shiver shot's a really good option you can use on like a drop style head, little dippers on like a guppy head, a 3-3 Kite's really good. It's almost like skeet shooting. You see them on your graph, lead them, and pretty much drop on them. And I mean, it's skeet shooting meets bass fishing, and it just takes a little practice, but
So
it's
are
really
you
fun to
talking-
shoot hang of.
This is not necessarily something that you're going to do a little swim bait through there. You're actually just kind of letting it fall and maybe shaking it through the school. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I like to get 15 or 20 feet kind of off of them and almost pitch past them. And you can, like on live scope, Humminbird Live, Lowrance, it doesn't make a difference. You can actually watch your bait falling, and once the bait gets about 4 or 5 feet above them, I like to lock the reel off and actually let it pendulum back through them. Because traditionally, I mean, fish that are sitting out there, they're usually under bait and they're feeding up. So it's not something you want to let it go through them. Great example is if you want to watch the Bassmaster coverage from any of these northern events, you can get a lot of education in a short period of time on exactly what these guys are doing.
Well, thanks for that insight, Josh. Folks, if you don't have forward-facing sonar, you can find those rippled clouds of bait on the surface. Throw a small bait like a little dipper, a scrounger head, something like that. Let it fall through the school, reel it through. Should be able to get a few bites that way. Josh, thanks again for everything, and we'll talk to you again next week. Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 20th, presented by Mercury. Thanks to the guys and everything that they do to help us put a few more fish in the boat. That insight is invaluable. Thank you to all of you for being the best part of Bucks Island. We appreciate you being part of our family. And if you need anything, come see us. We're happy to help put you on the water.